This video will demonstrate how to set up data validation in Google Forms. The context we'll be talking about today is using a Google form to create a digital breakout-style game in which students need to solve a series of puzzles to, quote, break out of the locked Google form. To get started, let's head on over to a Google form that I'm already working in. So here I am in a Google form. And what I'm going to end up doing is embedding this form on a Google site, and students will need to solve a series of puzzles in order to break out or submit the form. So what I want to take a look at today is data validation. Data validation is a method that will allow us to lock questions and not allow students to submit the form until they get the question right. So we're going to start by looking at this question right here. So notice that I have this question marked as required first. And now what I'm going to do is hit the three dots. I like to call these the Google Form Ninja options. I'll click the Ninja options, and then I'm going to click Response Validation. Through the course of this video, we're going to be looking at two different types of response validation, validating based on numbers and validating based on text. In this case, the solution is a number, so we're going to go ahead and select number. And then the second drop-down arrow, we're going to say equal to. So that means that the only acceptable response is the number that we put right here. So we're going to go ahead and type in our number right here. You'll also see that to the right of the number is a section for custom error text. It's really important that you fill out the custom error text with some sort of message, because if you don't, when students answer this question incorrectly, it'll say your response must be equal to whatever number is right here. So we're going to go ahead and fill in a little custom error text. And all this is going to say is that your answer should be 3 consecutive digits. And that's all the coaching I'm going to give the students on this one. Whenever I'm working with data validation, I always like to test this by hitting the eyeball to preview my form. So we'll go ahead and take a look here, and I'll go ahead and just type in a random number. And we see here that says your answer should be 3 consecutive digits. Now we'll go ahead and type it in correctly. And we see that we can move on. Now back in our form, we have the 4-digit lock, which will be the exact same strategy we use with a 3-digit lock. So we'll go ahead and quickly add that data validation. Then the next thing we have on here is labeled as a color lock, but what it's really going to be in terms of data validation, students will need to enter a series of characters in order to complete or unlock this question. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our Ninja options and click Response Validation. And this time, instead of saying we're looking for a number, we're going to say text. And our text options, we want to make sure that our text contains. So text and contains, and then I'll go ahead and just input the correct response here. And what I want to do, I want to show you what happens if I leave the custom error text blank. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this form one more time. And we're going to go down to this lock, and we'll just put those 4 characters. And I want you to notice that since I left the custom error text blank, the error message that Google Forms gave me was that it must contain YYPR, which in this case is the correct response. So when we go back into our form, we need to always make sure to remember that we need to put something in that custom error text so that the students don't have the answer revealed to them. What I like to do for these is just remind students that they need to answer in all caps, because if our students put lowercase for their answers, it'll still be incorrect. Now we'll repeat that same process for our directional lock. Once I've set up all of this data validation, students will be unable to submit this form until they have correctly responded to all these questions. I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you back here for the next video in our digital breakout series on how to hide links in a Google drawing.